Welcome back to the Scoop College Basketball Podcast presented by Hoop Scoop Media. We are back. College basketball is back. This is our first podcast since the college basketball season has started. This is amazing. Opening week is super fun to watch. Even with some people think the schedule is weak, maybe it is, but there's still going to be games on. There's still entertaining games all day long, which is great. Fun to see some of these non-conference matchups. But yeah, Kyle,
Clearly,
Kyle,
you don't need these crazy matchups when you got all these mid majors beating Power Fives night in, night out. So I don't know. I think they're pretty fun.
So yeah, first we're going to touch on some recruiting news, as we will since we are back in the swing of the actual podcast forms and not really the conference previews anymore. So yeah, Michigan guy top 25 commit today in Kenai Roos, a four-star forward in the 2024 class. K-State did not land Patrick Ngongba. He committed to Duke in the 2024 class as well. It was a close battle between those two at the end. You don't want to bet against Duke in the recruiting trail. John Shire
It's
building a
been amazing.
phenomenal 2024 class, which obviously also includes Cooper Flag. Nas Cunningham, a four-star forward, has committed to Alabama, former number one recruit in the class. Auburn, their rival, got a four-star as well. And Ja'Kai Howard, another guy who was formerly ranked pretty high up in his younger years, but still should be a very solid ad. Travis Perry has committed to Kentucky, four-star guard, can really score the ball. And the last one that we're going to mention on today is Daniel Jacobson. Purdue, he committed to Purdue. He's a 7'3" big man. Where else would he have gone? It was always going to be Purdue.
Penn State got a 4-star a couple weeks ago. I think it was a big man.
Yeah, I remember that.
That surprised me. I did not think we were going to get him. He
Yeah,
had some good
pretty
final schools.
pretty solid dad. But yeah, we also have some injury news. Unfortunately, some players have been sidelined for a year due to knee injuries, which is not great. Malachi Smith for Dayton is out for a year. This one is really disappointing me because I was really buying him to be healthy because that was what kind of was setting Dayton back from accomplishing their full potential last year. And then just a few games in the season, he's already done for the year. Very unfortunate news out of Dayton.
Yeah, he
Gonzaga,
can't escape injury.
yeah, Gonzaga Steel Ventures. He is out for the year. Pretty substantial loss, but he was sort of a role player, so I think this one is definitely easier to replace. But Venter's still a very good player that will be very impactful for Gonzaga. And next year, when he is fully healthy, can really has good size in the wing,
They've
can shoot
elevated
good.
Strother into his role now. Dusty
Stromer,
Strother,
Stromer.
Stromer. He looks pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking about Gonzaga, Braden Huff has played really good.
Yeah,
He
I know
played.
he was so good in those
He
scrimmages.
could
I
be a really
knew
good
what
big for
he's
them.
capable of, man. He's
He
terrific.
could be good. He had big game versus JL. And Cam Weston from Middle Tennessee, he was on my all conference teams. Yeah, he's also out for the year with a knee injury. Not great for the Blue Raiders.
Playing well
So
though.
yeah,
Middle
yeah.
Tennessee's got a tough
I mean,
non-con
so
though.
far, yeah, but they're
Yeah.
they're gonna have to do the rest of it without him, which is
Mm.
not ideal. Hoping for speedy recoveries for those three players. None of them will be this year, but hopefully they can get back to their full potential when we see them next on a core. And if there's one good thing about being injured now, it's that there's don't have to worry about losing eligibility. It's so early in the season. They'll get this full year back. At least you can find the positives in that. But yeah, now we're going to talk about. So a lot of people in college basketball have complained about the opening week schedule, saying there's no marquee games. I mean, there's obviously a few, but especially opening night. So I want to hear your stance on that.
No, I think this opening night was the best opening night in years. I usually the opening night slates are trash. I think last year's I don't remember was that really all that good, but I think the opening day slate this year was like this. It's been like the second best slate of the year was the opening night slate. I mean, it was terrific, top to bottom. As far as mid-major games go, as far as I think maybe a couple Power Fives played each other. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah, the K State USC game, which we'll talk
yeah,
about in a little
yeah.
bit.
But no, I love the opening day slate. I think again. I think college basketball's taken a real step up there because in years past it has definitely been weak.
Yeah, it was still pretty weak this year, relatively speaking. Like, especially the big point that I'm gonna hammer on here is that like you
Okay,
if you're
State
trying to if
USC
you're
disappointed. It did.
well, yeah, but like even if that's your headline game tonight, it's still not really the best opening night game, especially for drawing into casuals, which
Yeah,
um
that's true.
so I mean, obviously you're these all these small teams are still gonna have to play these big name teams. It's how they make money. But at the same time, I mean, I mean, as a very non-casual fan, I definitely appreciate all the games that there are. But it would be nice if like they still did Champions Classic on opening night, surrounded by all these
Yeah,
other games.
they need to
That
definitely start focusing on different demographics, like I think college basketball is kind of becoming, uh the cult fan sport.
mhm.
They don't really do enough with the casual fan.
I
They
mean,
need to
what
start
was
bringing them
wrong?
in.
What was wrong with
I
the
don't know.
Champions Classic being on opening night?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
I
that.
mean,
That's
can I
get.
mean Duke and Michigan State play this week, so at least that's normal
Yeah, I mean,
somewhat.
the Champions Classic is on Tuesday this week, but
Yeah.
um,
I don't know what was
if to
wrong with
be
having an
on
opening night.
opening night, that kind of draws the casual fans in. Like
It
this is the start of
does.
college basketball,
And
and no
then,
casual
all the
fan.
NBA fans watch because they know there's going to be NBA players in those games. So there's that too. Like you get a lot of different demographics with the Champions Classic. That always drove a ton of people in, and it would always pack the Garden too. That can do just crazy numbers.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, like I think I heard someone, I forgot who it was, but they were talking about it, and they said like college football, like the opening week, kind of sucks too. But there was this year there was that like Florida State LSU game, which was like a huge game, and
That's true.
that was kind of like there wasn't a game like that in college basketball opening night, which
That's true.
would be nice to have. But as a college basketball diehard like I am, it's still I'm not disappointed really at all by the schedule. I mean, there's always going to
Yeah,
be
I get
random
it.
upsets that happen, like James Madison. There's going to be games. It's going to be a lot of entertainment no matter who's all playing. But for the drawing in of more fans, the Champions Classic should be an opening night. I don't really know why it's not. And that's really the only thing that needs to be fixed. You can have all these bad games as long as you have like the marquee games like
I
Champions
agree.
Classic. But yeah, any more thoughts about the schedule like
No,
that?
no, I think we hit on everything.
Yeah. But moving into our big segment of the podcast, it's only a weekend of college basketball. 7 days have been played so far, almost seven. Still a few games going on right now. I'm watching St. Mary's and Weber State in the background.
St.
Sort of
Mary's is
close game.
steamrolling them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't
It's
think it's
close now.
it's like 10 or something.
Oh, it was
Not
like
like
15,
super
17.
close. Just finished watching Indiana barely squeaking by Army. We will talk about Indiana later on because they're 2-0, but it has not been a pretty 2-0 at all. But
No.
yeah. So this section we are talking about 10 teams, players, every just 10 things that are trending up in college basketball in week 1 and 10 things that are trending down. So let's see. Do you want to start us off? I know you came up with a lot of topics that were
Yeah.
earlier on in the list.
Honestly, something I was talking about today is how well the Atlantic 10's playing. Um, Especially like the teams at the bottom, like LaSalle beat Drexel at home, which I don't but think that was a game I expected them to win. Richmond has looked good in their first two games against Siena. They blew them out. I think Ely didn't play, but still. And then the UMass looked good. Against all really good against Albany. They won by like 30. Josh Cohen looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Rhode Island has looked great. Um,
Yes.
So I'm just thinking of like the bottom of the conference, the teams that we kind of Davidson has looked great too. I mean, today, I thought there was no chance they would beat Maryland. And then they competed with Clemson today. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just two really good teams on paper. And I had Davidson like my bottom 3 or 5, my A10. So like all the bottom teams are playing really well, and it's really helping the strength of the conference. Now, I will say maybe it's not as top heavy as it can be sometimes. I think Dayton took a hit. They didn't look great against Northwestern.
A 2 point
Um,
game.
oh, what's a 2 point game?
We were staying same areas.
Really? Wow. But yeah, no. I think Duquesne has looked fantastic. They look great against Charleston the other night.
Hmm.
Their guards are just so dynamic. They play both ends. There's just such a balanced backcourt and front court. George Mason's look great. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about the A10 basketball. Although we will talk about a team that has disappointed in the A10 later.
Yeah, but overall, the A10 had a huge down year last year. They need to get back up. And while maybe there's still the lack tie game, but maybe there's still the lack of like the top heavy teams, especially with Malachi Smith being out. Like the middle of the conference, the bottom of the conference has really performed, really
Yeah,
elevated themselves. Like obviously you mentioned LaSalle, Rhode Island has looked amazing. Like St. Louis is 3-0. Haven't
yeah,
played
I
a
forgot about
ton of
that.
competition. VCU lost opening night, but they bounced back with a 10-point win over Stanford. Solid win there.
Hmm.
Obviously Davidson, St. Joe's 2-0. Very talented team there. And yeah, UMass got a good one as well. So yeah, the conference hasn't already imploded on itself, which kind
It's
of
better
happened
than
last
last
year.
year.
Yes. We'll wait and see if any team like any of these teams clearly established themselves as tournament worthy, but at the same time, the conference is definitely looking a lot better. Definitely going to be a lot more competitive throughout, and yeah, I think it could be pretty fun this year,
Hmm.
as opposed to last year. But we'll still have to
Speaking
wait and
of
see.
that VCU loss,
Yes.
a team that looked really good. And it's funny, I assumed Will Wade was actually coaching that game beforehand, and he wasn't. So he was suspended. And I was like, yeah, I think McNeese can win this. I put in the mini hoops alerts comments, and he was like, wow, that's surprising. And then I was like, oh no, Will Wade's out. Never mind. But didn't matter. I mean, they were up as
Yeah.
much as like 30 or 20 at point. They were up by a ton in the
Mm-hmm.
first half. VCU inched a little closer, but they couldn't get back into the game. I just think McNeese is just so scary. They have tons of Power Five talent all over the roster, and they're doing this without Will Wade. They're
Mm-hmm.
defensive mastermind. So there could be something really special there. Hopefully, they're a non-16 seed this year, but I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how they perform.
I think they'll be
Um,
better in a 16 seed.
yeah, I hope so. It's just that conference they're in. But yeah, no, I definitely think it could be a 15 in that conversation for
Or
sure.
higher. They
Or
they're
yeah,
good. Like I mean,
I got to see their
Shahada Wells.
non-con.
Shahada,
Um,
I know it's pretty weak overall, but there's obviously a few like
that's a
good
good
games.
win. Yeah, that's a
Like
good place to
they
start.
play a handful of non D ones, but they also play like UAB, La Tech, Western
Okay,
Carolina, like Michigan,
those are good
Louisiana,
games.
Southern Miss. So they have a fair amount of good games.
Can rack up some Q2s for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Shahada Wells should not be in this league, and he clearly showed that.
Right.
Ken Palm MVP of the game had 23 points. DJ Richards, the UTSA transfer, had a big game, 5 of 6 from three. Christian Shumate, been in the league last year on McNeese, continued to have a good game. And yeah, very solid team. Very, really went above and beyond my expectations, even though I know this team would be dominant in Southland. I didn't know how they would do their first game. No Will Wade,
Right.
still some guys that haven't played together
In a
before,
really
but
tough road atmosphere, BC. BC is a tough place to
yeah,
play.
absolutely.
That was very impressive. It was good that we included them.
So yeah, McNeese is officially on our radar as a team that could potentially do something. Weber State up three with the ball, but yeah, next topic that we're going to discuss is Arizona. This was a team that I was really high in preseason, but going into Cameron Indoor Stadium and getting the win was quite the game for the Wildcats.
And Caleb Love had a bad game. That's what really, I mean, they did it without a really good performance from Caleb Love at
Yeah,
all. I mean, that's what
Boswell had a
really,
huge game.
right.
Boswell
He
was
was
good.
terrific. I actually didn't get to watch it, believe it or not.
That's tough.
I know. Yeah, I forget what other game I was watching that
You
night,
were
but
watching something else?
yeah, I was. I mean, there was some mid-major game I
You don't
was.
have a you don't have multi TV setup?
I mean, I don't know.
We need to work on that.
I know it was bad. I'm mad I missed that game because I've Arizona. I wasn't high on right away, but I've gotten really high on them as the season
Absolutely.
has gone
Same.
on. As the preseason has gone on. So,
Mm.
really seeing what I kind of hyped up in a really good atmosphere. I'm just seeing this Weber State game. My goodness, man.
We were saying I've been hyping them up
You
all
have.
offseason.
I know someone even messaged me the some Maryland page is like, should I bet on St. Mary's -16.5? I said absolutely not. That line is way too big.
Yeah,
Way
Dylan
too
Jones
big.
is too good. St. Mary's plays too slow, but yeah,
St. Mary's just can't seem to score in the second half. 16 points.
no, yeah, I haven't been super close attention, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that game's on my back. But yeah, back to Arizona talk. Kashad Johnson, he's going to be really good. He's going to be
Offensive
very good.
versatility, man. He brings
Now that
that.
he's going to team, he's like going from the bottom to the top in terms of tempo.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really athletic, good defensively. Made a three in a game, so showed the ability to stretch the floor. I think he's going to be amazing in Arizona. Pell
Mm-hmm.
Larson, even Ballo didn't like jump out to page. Like Ballo had a pretty non-significant game. Like he still
For
scored
his
double
standards.
figures.
So.
But yeah, KJ Lewis got some minutes off the bench. Freshman, I think is going to be really good. Mo Krivas also got some minutes off the bench, showed some flashes, but
How Duke look?
they didn't look bad.
I'm about to say, I
Filipowski
mean,
had a big game.
they didn't look
Proctor
bad.
wasn't
Yeah,
amazing.
I saw that.
Mark Mitchell wasn't amazing. I mean, Filipowski was good. I mean, Roach was really good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they really like
They didn't play
weren't
all that
bad. Like
bad.
they didn't beat
Mm-hmm.
themselves. Arizona came in and beat them. I
Right, beat
mean,
them exactly.
yeah,
That's what.
Duke is still very good though.
Oh, for
Not
sure.
definitely not selling any Duke stock, but definitely buying some more Arizona stock. Moving to some players, the Baylor freshman duo of Jacoby Walter and Yves Misi,
Special.
they've been really good. I definitely knew Walter was going to be good. He was a guy I was like, I mean, I have said in my Big 12 all conference teams, but the one is real. Misi has really surprised me because he was a reclass. Like I knew everyone's been talking him up, but like I don't know how much those reclasses. But he is does not look like a reclass at all. We
He's
were at
incredible.
5, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. I'm watching it too.
he does not look like a reclass at all. He is extremely athletic, extremely physical. He's definitely an NBA pick next year, as is Walter. Walter really showed his ability in the Auburn game to score. Really, I mean, what we've been seeing, we've been knowing is going to happen. But the fact that he came out in his first college game and really set the tone is
Didn't Keontae George like the same thing his first couple games last
probably
year? Yeah, it reminds me of how he burst onto
Probably.
the
I
scene
like
last
Walter
year.
better though because he
I
plays
did agree.
defense. He plays defense
Exactly.
too.
Hmm.
George not, but
No,
George was really good
he
too.
was very good, of course.
His own respect. But yeah, another player that we're going to point out is Dalton Connect, and we honestly kind of knew this would have been coming based on the Michigan State game where he went crazy in that exhibition there. But
Picked up
he,
right where he left off. This is why scrimmages can mean some things. You got to see what
yeah,
some players look like.
especially
Um,
charity exhibitions. Like that was not just secret scrimmage.
for
The box
sure.
score was leaked. Like that was a
Right.
game that we were able to watch, saw the whole
On
40
national
minutes.
television. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, Connect. Like before going into like, I mean, I obviously knew how good he was after the exhibition, but before that, I was kind of unsure. Like I knew how good an offensive player he was. I didn't realize how athletic he was. Like I didn't realize he was a
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his highlights, he had a lot of posters and stuff at Northern Colorado. I mean, he can jump out the gym. The thing is, right? I knew the kind of player he was. I wasn't sure how Rick Barnes was going to use him. I wasn't sure if he'd be the number one, the complimentary guy. But they're using him as the number one, and
mm-hmm.
I like it. Because he's got the best shot creating package of anyone in Tennessee for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. I mean,
Off the
Vescovi's more of a
dribble,
catch and shoot guy.
exactly.
Who's their
Ziegler
main
doesn't
like
really
offensive option?
create.
Yeah,
Josiah James is solid, I guess.
yeah.
When it comes to creating. But no, Necht is definitely the right guy to run with as your number one option. And
Yeah,
Tennessee has looked great as a result.
he really gives him some offensive upside. Another team you could call this team the winners of the week, I would think. James Madison, they had quite the week. Weber State still at 5. Weber State might win this game.
It's crazy.
They might win. Um, but yeah, yeah, James Madison. Obviously, everyone knows they went in and beat Michigan State. That was a phenomenal game. Terrence Edwards is a star. Then the next game they beat Kent State, which I mean
Not an
they
easy
had a
place to play. Kent State won 21 straight games before that at home. It was the
mhm.
longest home winning streak in one of them in college basketball. So that's a very
Yes, I
valid
mean, but
win,
just how that game
regardless.
unfolded, like towards the end, they had like a
They
zero
were
percent
down
chance of
five.
winning
They were down five with
with
like
like
5 seconds
3
left.
seconds left. They like,
And
yeah,
then
they
they went
had the
long. Friedel hit a three. Then the Kent State guy pushed off on the inbounds.
mhm.
And then they
And the
got a
inbound
free
play,
and
it found
easy
him
layup. Oh,
right wide open, right under the basket. Forced overtime. They looked like they had an overtime. Kent State bounced back. They forced double overtime.
mm-mm.
Then JMU pulled away then. And then JMU also destroyed Howard today. Big offensive output for the Dukes. They could be in that large team. Like those are two games that will carry over. Like
For sure. That's one of the
those,
best wins in the country. I mean,
hmm
on the road
both
at the
those, but like
Breslin
the Kent
Center.
State one especially, like that one's win is going to matter a lot. Could be Q1, probably Q2,
Yeah.
which is going to be Q2. But come tournament time, that win is going to
Hmm.
carry some significant value. So yeah, JMU, they're legit. Which I mean, we've already kind of we were hyping them up preseason, but I don't
We
think
didn't
we were
know
even.
if the talent would play out right away. Because JMU has had really talented teams in the past, and they haven't. I mean, they've just choked in the conference tourney, and in
Yeah.
big non-conference games, they would always fall short. I remember they played North Carolina last year; it looked really bad.
Yeah.
They do usually look good against Virginia, though. Virginia is an in-state rivalry for them. That's always
Mm.
a big game for them. But outside of that, like they just haven't fully performed in the non-conference quite yet, and they
Yeah.
certainly have done that this year so far.
Yeah. Bickerstaff was a big ad. He was I
He
mean
has
he had a huge
surprised
game for
me. This is some of the best basketball he's played
I mean
in his career
I honestly
here.
was really high in ad just because of like how he was such an effective rebounder, even at the power conference level. Like
Yeah.
I mean his shots weren't amazing, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that can definitely improve.
For
Weber State
sure.
might do this. But yeah, James
Look at these
Madison,
rebounds. Wow.
huge
Diving on the
week.
floor.
Another team that had a huge week was Bradley. They are 2-0 courtesy of two overtime wins versus two very good teams. Knocked off UAB on the road. Then Utah State came to Peoria and the Braves prevailed once again. Bradley
Yeah.
is good.
Brian Wardle, man, such a good coach. He does the most with maybe just not the best rosters. Like he just elevates every roster he has. Such a great offensive play caller, such a great defensive coach. I love Brian Wardle. They were up as much as like 20-25 on UAB in the first half, which is really impressive. He ran
And
them right
it's
out of the
impressive
gym.
they battled back in overtime too after they
Exactly.
were pretty much out of it,
Mm-hmm.
more or less
That
based on the
right. And
momentum.
they had a pretty good wire to wire win against Utah State, who just got Ian Martinez eligible, so they're going to look a
Yes.
lot better. So yeah, no, Bradley, their team I'm very high on. I picked them to win the Missouri Valley, and Connor Hickman's playing well. And they know how to win basketball games.
Still going with Drake there, but definitely impressive how Bradley has pulled off the two straight overtime wins. Very the season could look very differently, even with not that much different results. So um very good start for Bradley. Another team with a very good start is Princeton. They knocked off Rutgers opening night. Then they defeated Hofstra later on in the week. Very good Princeton team. No Tosan Bowman. No Ryan Langborg, Keyshawn Kellman, another guy left, but this team is still very good. Again, I still think
Mm-hmm.
Yale's going to win the league, but Princeton is good.
I'm about to say, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if Princeton did something and won the league. Um, oh gosh, I know I'm a little behind.
Shot clock. He hit the three, but it was a okay. St. Mary's gonna have the ball with 11 seconds left.
I thought he might have gotten that off. It was close. I don't know. I didn't really fully see
I,
the leg go off.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, no. I think Princeton and Xavier Lee is really
Javen Lee is
good.
good.
Oh my
Another guy that we've
goodness.
been hyping up all off, especially me. I've been hyping him up all off season,
Yeah.
and
I
the
didn't know a
results
ton
are
about
showing.
him coming in, and then I watched him play. I'm like, oh my goodness, look how quick he is off the dribble. He's really good from all three
Weaver
levels.
State is gonna do this. Weaver State is gonna do this. Um, it's crazy, but yeah,
They
Xavier
were
Lee
down
is.
16.
They were, yeah. Xavier Lee is a guy I really like. Can really create his own shot. Can really create shots for others.
Guarding
Yeah,
him and Pierce is going to be a headache for
yeah. Caden
teams.
Pierce, another rising sophomore.
Both of them are
Who
breaking
else?
out at
Who
the
else do
same
they have?
time.
Yes. Who else do they have that's good? Blake Peters is pretty good. I think he's there. Trying to think if it was Princeton even has. I don't know, but those two are. They have a loco back too. He's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those players very solid. Yes, going to be a big year for Princeton. Still not going anywhere. Very good offensive schemes, cooked up by Mitch Henderson. Princeton offense, one of the best in the sport. Our next riser is Tyon Grant Foster. Has not played basketball in over 2 years. Last time he played basketball was at DePaul in the 2021-22 season. Played the first half there of the first game. Suffered a cardiac incident in the locker room and was never would never play for DePaul again. Entered the transfer
Wow.
portal, committed to Grand Canyon. I didn't really know what we'd get from him. Because I knew like if everything went right, he could be like a Keontae John situation, potentially in the mix for WAC Player of the Year. But he also could just be like never the same. But he had 30 points in our opener. Like that is,
He has looked tremendous. Like his shot creating ability, man, is just
yeah,
he can
very good
really
athlete,
play. He's
elite
got great
athlete for the
size.
conference.
Yeah.
Weaver State's going to do it. I think they're still going to put some time on. Yeah, there's 2 seconds. The
Hit your
St.
free
Mary's
throws.
scoreboard operators and their broadcast
Awful,
terrible,
man.
especially New Mexico game. This game I haven't noticed being like overly terrible, but in St. Mary's New Mexico game, that was a terrible broadcast
For such
operation.
like, a smart, brainy school for you to have just such terrible broadcasts is something. I don't know, man.
It was bad, but yeah,
It's fitting for a 10th one, mid-major basketball. They've just been picked up right where they left off last year. The amount of upsets have just been wild. Some of them I could see coming. Some of them just completely took me by surprise. Like Davidson beating Maryland was one.
mm-hmm.
We'll talk about a couple in the down section that certainly were surprising. How about Monmouth, man? Monmouth looks telling you Xander Rice, Jack
He's good,
Collins.
maybe.
I'm high on both of them at least. Besides those two, they don't have a ton else, but those two are nice. But yeah, no, it's great to see an opening week that's been as good as it is, and Weber State is about to come back down 16 to beat St. Mary's, so that's
Yes,
add another one.
but yeah, the talent gap is getting smaller.
It
Like with
is.
everyone obsessed with the portal, these mid majors are able to get better recruits. They're able to develop them. They're able to get some down transfers. It's really all kind of
Hmm.
getting smaller.
That's why we
Everything's
cover
more
them so
competitive.
much because the talent gap, is really not that big. It's important to know every team, not just the ones in the power conferences.
Yes. Do we want to head into our stock followers now?
Sure thing.
Um,
This will be a
10
fun
things
segment.
that have been trending down. One is kind of a joint stock in Maryland and Michigan State and their shooting. Both teams
It's
had
been
rough weeks. Both teams had rough shooting weeks.
Michigan
Yeah,
State hit 2 threes in 2 games, I think, or something
yes.
like that.
Um,
Just unbelievable. Like,
yes. Are you more concerned about their shooting or Maryland shooting?
um, I'm gonna actually go with Michigan State because it's
Okay,
something that I predicted. We both talked about preseason.
that's a
Um,
game.
Joey Hauser leaving. He's irreplaceable. I don't care what
Yeah.
anybody says. He averaged 6 to 7 attempts in the tournament per game. He's hitting at a 50% clip. They just have no one who's near that caliber of shooter. And Malik Hall is just always so bipolar, man. He has these games where he just looks lost out there, like a deer in headlights. In that James Madison
Hmm.
game, he looked like he was a complete deer in headlights. Just doing dumb stuff on both ends, not being assertive offensively, blowing laps, like just lack of focus things. And they need him to play better. Him and Hogarth, Tyson Walker was out there all by himself, just doing everything. They need guys to start hitting threes, and it's really going to come down to it. Now, Maryland, I'm not as concerned about shooting wise because but they don't seem to play Kaiser at all, who I thought would help with their shooting. And I think Jameer's a good enough shooter, but outside of
Top
that,
10
yeah,
shooter in the country,
outside of that though, it is
according to
pretty
Andy Katz, at
suspect.
least.
No, definitely Geronimo. I don't really trust. Yeah, I know Maryland's shooting certainly could be rocky too, but I think they have a couple guys that can hit enough threes. They're not going to be shooting the lights out, but
I'm more concerned about Michigan State because I think they have the I know I'm more concerned about Maryland, excuse me. Because I think Michigan State still has the guys that can make them.
I mean, yeah,
Like
that's
Walker
true.
should be an elite shooter. Aiken's very good shooter. Hogard up and down, but he can shoot a little bit. Booker, I know, is a little bit of a shooter. Fear should be solid as well. But Maryland, like I just think there's a lack of shooting overall in the team. Like
It's
Kaiser,
true.
Noah Bachelor can shoot it, but like you're not really getting much shooting. I mean, Reese isn't going to shoot at all. DHS, not really a shooter, more
Yeah,
of an
no,
inside
that was
scorer.
not on my radar. I thought the HS was a better
Um,
shooter than he is.
he can shoot a
Um,
little bit, but Kaiser's a shooter. Scott, not really a shooter. Um, I think they just don't have the shooting. Like Michigan State
yeah,
hypothetically
they
should have the
obviously do.
shooting. So yeah, both teams either way not off to a very hot start. Another team not off to a very hot start is West Virginia. We definitely could have seen this coming, but still not sure if we would have seen the loss to Monmouth coming, considering how bad Monmouth has been, especially last year. And I don't think they're going to be great this year either.
No, probably not. But they lost in pretty dominating fashion too. Like the second half, they got wire to
Yeah,
wire.
it wasn't like a
Last
close.
possession,
Yeah,
no,
it was like they were just kind of ahead by like 10 the whole second
no,
half.
that was ridiculous.
Um,
But you could definitely see some bumps from the road coming. They didn't look great against Missouri State either. They did win that game though,
yeah,
I think. So
it was
that
a
was a positive.
yeah a
Um,
lot of people I did an upset alert, so
right.
they did
So
win that. But
yeah,
overall,
that Monmouth game was
yeah, you can't lose to Monmouth.
no,
Um,
not at home.
yeah, it's kind of funny because I feel like West Virginia fans have still been hyping them up
They have though.
after like they're clearly just not a good team anymore, and they're still like, oh,
Like
we're still gonna make
you
tournament.
lose,
No, you're not.
you lose Raekwon Battle. Raekwon Battle was your number one
And a
guy,
cook. Who knows when you're getting him back?
right? You two lose really two valuable guys, and they just have nobody on the backcourt that can really shot create. That's the problem. Kriska
No, I mean
can't
he's out
create good
too.
enough. Oh,
He's
that's
out
right.
for
He's
the
out
next
too.
9 games.
Oh gosh, that's right.
They just
So
don't
yeah,
have
they
anyone
definitely
except for
don't.
Jesse Edwards. Jesse Edwards is
He's
amazing, but like he
out there all
can't do
by
anything.
himself.
He needs connecting pieces. He can't like create for himself. He's
Quinn Slazinski, I think, still playing decent, but
yeah. I
it's
mean,
just
but
not enough. He's being
he's getting too
overexposed.
many shots because like
Exactly.
he's like the really only offensive like player, and I mean
Yeah, he's being really overexposed right now because of the injuries and things like that. So they're hurting.
yes. Mike Boyne also trending down. They did beat Sam Houston today, but they lost to Abilene Christian on opening night. just kind of confirms our theory that Mike Boyne is not a good coach. Was carried by Cade Cunningham as one good year and has never made a tournament outside of that year. People were like a few years ago, like really obsessed with Boyne. Like they
I
really
kind
thought
of
he was
was. I'm not gonna
a great coach,
lie.
and it's just kind of give him a few years without a number one recruit in the country just because you hire his brother, and suddenly things are not going great there. Still a very good defensive coach, but he's bad enough on offense that it doesn't even matter.
Right. He's like the Ole Miss guy before Chris Beard that I always
Yeah,
forget
Kermit
his name.
Davis.
If you're so bad offensively to where like you're one of the worst offensive teams in Power Five, it really doesn't matter how good you are defensively. You're just not going to be winning basketball games by just grinding people out every game. So yeah, if they're just unwatchable on offense, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yes. Kenny Payne also trending down. I'd be surprised if he makes it toward the end of the season. Like there's no way there's no way there's no way he's gonna still be the coach of Louisville at the end of the season.
Hey, they beat UMBC. Gave
UMBC
him
is not good.
94. UMBC is not.
UMBC is not good. They got worked by Chattanooga, who's also not really amazing. I mean, they're
Chattanooga,
okay.
they're a potential based team. They have a lot of high upside
They're
guys. You just
okay.
got
I
to
mean,
see who
their
breaks
freshman
out.
Miles Che had a big game.
Mm-hmm. No, they
Hunter
have
Huff,
talent, no
big
doubt.
game, but
But
yeah.
still, they got blown out by them. They were down as much as 20.
And then Kenny, have you seen like the stuff that Kenny Payne's been saying in like
No.
his press conferences, like
Oh,
how he's not gonna like out talent teams? Like that's why you hired Kenny Payne is because he's
right. That
been
was what
supposed to be a
that's all the hype
recruiter.
was
Like
about. He was supposed to be the out talent guy.
yeah, like
If
that's
you
what
can't
he's
out
supposed to
talent
do.
guys, he can't do
It's
anything.
Louisville. You can get guys there. Like I mean, he hasn't done a terrible job of recruiting. Like it
But
hasn't
he's
actually
lost
worked, but like
guys, right?
he hasn't. I mean, he hasn't had anyone good enough to matters to lose. But like Trey White was a good pickup. Like they have good freshmen. I mean, they didn't get Trenton Flowers because he would rather play in Australia. Which, looking back at it, I would probably rather play anywhere else besides the Louisville team. But
Good decision.
he's the worst coach in the country. I can confidently say that.
Yeah. I'd say he's probably the worst coach in the country. Not the biggest talent waster. I
He
think
is the
that's.
biggest talent waster.
I mean, they don't
Who is
really have
wasting
that
talent
much talent.
worse?
Jared Haas, easily.
Yeah, but
They
at
have
least
five stars and great
Stanford's like
players
somewhat
every year.
competent though.
What I mean by talent wasting is like they're way worse than they should be. Like,
You think Louisville was they had the 290th best talent last year?
I mean, not. I mean, they really weren't that talented. This year, they certainly aren't.
They did
But
have
I will
Trey
say
White. Trey White was good as a
Stanford
freshman
has
on a
had
tournament
like
team. Like
some,
Sky
in
Clark
my
was a
opinion.
five-star.
I mean, yeah, they just
Like
haven't panned out,
Louisville is
obviously.
filled with a highly ranked recruits.
So
Randoni
is
Hadfield was a
so is
five-star.
Stanford though. Like they
Yeah,
get a ton of
Stanford's not
five
as bad as
stars.
Louisville though.
I mean, they're still
Another,
really bad.
they're
I mean, they're not as bad as Louisville,
they're
but they're still. I don't know. I just
they're
think
2-0.
Stanford has
They're
better
2-0.
talent. At
Yeah,
least in
probably, but
years past.
they're not
You know,
like
you have
a
guys like Spencer Jones, Harrison Ingram, and you're
Ingram
finishing
was
like.
kind of bad.
I know, but you got a lot of
Maybe
hype.
that was due to us, but maybe
And
I don't
they
know if it
went
was
like
though.
what 6-14 in the pack or something. They were
They were one
terrible.
of like the unluckiest teams in the country though.
They were, but
Um,
some of that is due to Haas's coaching.
yeah, he's I don't think he's a good coach either, but Kenny Payne's just in a whole new level of bad that is not
Yeah,
even comparable to anyone else.
he's something.
Yes. In addition to Kenny Payne, ACC in general has, I mean,
They were
they were bad
undefeated
last
going into
year.
the weekend, and then everything fell apart.
Yeah. Obviously Duke lost, not something that's concerning me at all, but a lot
Virginia
of other
Tech was really
things.
bad.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, they lost to South Carolina, Wake
Still
Forest,
can't.
lost to
They still
Georgia.
can't guard a park car. Same with Wake Forest. It's the
Yeah, I
same thing
mean,
every year.
Boston
Like,
College had a scare with the Citadel. Georgia Tech had a scare with Howard.
yeah, it was. They don't look sharp. North
Yeah,
Carolina can't guard a park car. They've had some trouble with defense. They look better in the second half today against Lehigh, but They haven't been entirely convincing to me either. Clemson's had a couple scares, but they've played some good teams.
Yeah.
Besides Davidson, but Davidson's been playing really well. Respect to them. But yeah, no, the ACC has not impressed me at all. Pitt's look good, and I do like Pitt.
They
We're
haven't
gonna
played
see.
anyone
They
now.
haven't played anyone though. They will play a couple teams this week. They play who do they play tomorrow? They play someone pretty good tomorrow at home, so they'll get a test.
Florida Gulf Coast.
I mean, we'll see. It's more of a test than our other opponents that
That's
I can
true.
remember.
They're very
So
true.
they're slowly stepping up in the world. But yeah, no, the ACC as a whole is somehow getting worse, I think.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great. How many tournament teams they had?
So I will say Syracuse's look pretty solid. They haven't really played anybody either, but
I mean,
they did
they
look good
beat New
against
Hampshire by 11 and Canisius by 12.
they did look
They
good
haven't
against
really.
Canisius, who just beat one of the teams that we will talk about later. So pretty solid win. Their offense looks
Yeah,
good at
I am in
least.
on Syracuse, but I haven't really seen anything that really backs that
Naheem
yet.
McLeod looks great, man. I have to say he's really impressed me. He moves well. He's really good on the glass. He's active. I was high on him, but he's better than I even thought. Oh, he's been good.
Okay. Yeah, had a 5 blocks versus Canisius.
He was
Yeah,
awesome.
Vanderbilt's trending down. They lost to Presbyterian. They were without Tyron Lawrence, without Van Allen Lubin. I don't care. It's Presbyterian. Presbyterian is terrible. How there's just no coming back from that game.
Hey, this is Eastern Illinois, Iowa level. This
Yes.
is an unbelievable loss. And it wasn't even really close either. Presbyterian was pretty comfortably ahead in the second
Yeah, for
half.
the second half.
Um, that's just unacceptable. Jerry Stackhouse does this every year in the non-con. Last year it was Grambling. A couple other games where they had some real scares. Didn't they go in the OT with like Alabama A&M last year or something? They've had some weird non-con games,
Not
man.
quite, but they were kind of close without Eminem.
Yeah, they've had some where I'm just like,
Yeah,
is this even a Power
yeah.
Five team? Not being prepared in the non-conference falls on the coach. You just need to be scouting. You need to be taking them seriously. And yeah, it just can't happen, especially as often as it has been for Jerry Stackhouse and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, then they barely beat USC Upstate,
Yeah,
which
they
is
were
not
struggling with
great.
them in the first half too. Even South Carolina blew them out.
Yes. So yeah, gonna be a rough year for Vanderbilt. Um, Another team turning downwards is UNC Asheville. I'm not ready to
Yeah, they
sell their
just
stock yet, but definitely disappointing week one. Drew Pember has honestly been amazing. Like he's still been good, but
this is
like
kind of what I was concerned about with Asheville.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, I kind of talked about it with you, I think maybe a couple days ago. Losing Ty Jones is huge. It's what I've been telling everyone. He was a good, really
yeah,
good volume 3-point shooter. Fletcher AB is just not the same caliber of player Ty Jones was. Like he's not a Robin.
no,
He's a solid role player. They have a bunch of other solid role players around Pember, but I think as a team they've gotten worse. And yeah, the Big South is going to be interesting. I don't think Asheville has impressed me. Winthrop definitely hasn't impressed me. Their coach is terrible. Just wasting more talent. I think Radford has looked really good though. I think
yeah.
Radford has a lot of upside, and that might be my favorite to win it right now, based on what I've seen. First reactions, first impressions. So yeah, no, the Big South is going to be very interesting.
Another team turning down is UNLV. They lost to Southern by 14,
They were down
which
like as
was
much as 30.
yeah.
Unbelievable. Southern is supposed to be
I
awful this year. They were without the Boone twins, but when I looked at that score, I'm like, am I looking at this right? UNLV is a team both of us liked. It's just a real low. They looked good against Stetson, who's actually a lot
yeah,
better than Southern, which is weird, but they bounced back, and that's good at least. But yeah, no, UNLV just seems to like choking their opportunities at a bid, and they might have just done that again
they
with
have
the
a tough
Q4
non-con
coming up.
schedule though. So
They do have opportunities for wins. That's
Things
good.
will happen there for the better or
Um,
the worse.
you stack up enough Q4s and Q3s, so it doesn't matter. They
Yeah. Yeah.
can't be losing those.
Next team is DePaul. They are bad.
They are a
Yeah.
team. We could honestly just make the DePaul Georgetown section, but Georgetown, you can't get worse when you're at Georgetown. Georgetown's expectations last year were so low, so I don't think they're trending down from where they were last year. But DePaul has looked absolutely terrible. They lost to Purdue Fort Wayne team. They got pretty dominated by them too at home. There's 900 fans there, which tells you all you need to know about how the fans respect the program. Um, and yeah, I mean, Purdue Fort Wayne was a team both of us had at the bottom of the horizon, or near the bottom, middle to the bottom. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah. It
The
was
Tony Stubblefield era is in
according to
jeopardy.
ESPN, they got over 2,500 fans for the Long Beach game. Still only filled the arena up like 26%, but
It was a weekend game, so you know what, whatever. But at opening night, I don't think I've ever seen less fans at a Power Five game
it's opening night
than
too. Like
like
opening
I've
night.
never seen less than 1,000 fans at a Power Five opening night game. Like that's unbelievable. 900.
Yeah, they need to make a coaching change.
Yes, their fans haven't been seriously interested in quite a long time.
And the whole appeal to DePaul being good is like they're in Chicago, but nobody in Chicago cares about them.
No,
So
no one
they're
cares.
just
They're
kind
so
of it's
checked
kind of
out. DePaul used to be a dominant program actually in like the 90s and 2000s, I'm pretty sure too.
it was a little further back than that, I
A little
think.
further, okay, yeah. But they did have a golden era, and I think the fan base could still be tapped into, but I mean they just don't care now. So, and they haven't for a
Hmm.
while.
Yeah. Next team, St. Bonaventure, we alluded to them a little bit earlier. They are maybe trending down. Um, they did lose to Canisius. I think they're still pretty far away from selling everything in this team, but
Not everything,
they
but I think
escaped
they are trending.
Longwood. They escaped Longwood in opening night. Not a great game there. Maybe they're not that good.
Yeah, no, I wasn't really that high on them. I know you were. Obviously it's still very early. They have a lot of guards, so you know we're gonna see how the shot distribution is as the season goes on. But I don't know if they just I don't know what it is with Bonaventure. It's just I think the guards that they do have don't move me a ton. Pride's been good though, I think.
Yeah,
On opening night, he was
Pride's been
good.
really good this year. I
Um,
mean, he had
he was
21
really
and
good against
16 in both
Longwood.
the games, was
Yeah.
pretty effective both of them.
So you were right about your hype about Pride so
Yeah,
far. So that's
Pride's
good.
really good.
But outside of him, like guard wise, like there's just not a lot. I mean, Banks, I was high on because he had a lot of
Banks
volume
has been
last
bad
year,
this
but
year.
he's
Adams
just,
Woods has been fine. But overall, they need to win the Canisius game.
yeah,
It's
you
not a
can't be
game you
losing
can
that
really
game at
lose.
home where they've been so good in years past. That needs to be an easy win. But yeah, defensively, they haven't even looked all that great either, which is weird. Hopefully that
Yeah.
tightens up as well. So yeah, they're definitely the top team that's looked the worst, I would say, so far in the A10.
Yep. So next we will go into our everything else that happened in the week. Let's see. We already talked about Arizona beating Duke. We already talked about James Madison's week. Let's talk a little bit about USC and K State. That game was an opening night.
Ugly game.
That was just not a
Really
good
disappointing
game.
game. Yeah, I had to turn that off. K-State looks so bad on that game.
It was a rough game. They need Tomlin back.
Yeah, Kaluma looks rough. Perry's shot
Yeah.
hasn't been falling, but he's trying to be productive in
Perry
other
was still.
areas of the
I
game.
think he's still been
Right.
pretty good this
Yeah,
season.
no, exactly. He's very productive in a lot of different areas, which is good.
He had a
But
good game versus Bellarmine at least.
that's good. Yeah, Kaluma's just he really been off.
Yeah, he's been
I thought the
bad.
fit would be better, and honestly, it's just something with this K State offense is just the Jerome Tang punch isn't there. Like it's I don't know, it's really lacking. The flair isn't there that Noel had, which is a little concerning. I don't know, like the culture just seems not as alive, for sure. So yeah, we'll see. I think they will be better. They need Tomlin back. I'm not ready to sell everything with them, but yeah, no, they have some question marks for sure.
Yeah, USC looked good though.
Oh,
Their
they look
backcourt,
amazing.
Bogelis is a Collier looked really good. Kobe Johnson
Kobe
also had
Johnson's
an amazing
awesome.
game, especially on
Yeah,
defense. So definitely a team that should be pretty good. And we'll
scary
keep
potential there.
note on them. Purdue is they were amazing for Samford.
Oh
They
my
were
goodness. That was just
phenomenal.
pure
Like
dominance.
Stanford is a good team, and Purdue just like
Morehead
ran them out of the
State's also
gym.
projected to win their conference.
Yeah.
They got ran out of the gym.
Not
Although
as not
Morehead's without
quite as
Mark
dominant.
Freeman, right?
Yeah, I
They're
mean they were
without,
without him for the
yeah.
whole year, but speaking
Oh
about Moorhead
gosh.
though, that one NAI transfer they got,
Minix.
he's been playing
He's
good.
been awesome.
He's been
I just
playing
checked
really
that
good.
today. Penn State plays him, I think, next week. So he's getting a
He's
little
had
scouting
18,
in.
18, and 19 in his
And he's
3 games.
been getting boards. He's really good on the glass too. He had like 18 and 10 opening night or something.
Yeah. He had really only had a lot of rebounds in their non-D1 game, but
Oh yeah, true. That's a good way to get boards. But yeah, no, Purdue's just been everything we were kind of saying they'd be
yeah.
so far. Really small sample size again.
Hmm.
But it's good to see
But
some of the things that we have
Smith
been
and Lawyer
talking
look
about.
great.
They look awesome. I think Lance Jones has looked pretty good too, hasn't he? Well, maybe not
He
shooting the
looked good versus
ball.
Moorhead. He did not look good versus
Yeah, I didn't watch the
Sanford.
I didn't really watch a ton of either game, but yeah, him and Gillis for the shooting should be
Yeah.
really nice too.
Hamden Heidi is Loki look kind of good off the bench.
That's good.
Definitely
He's
someone to
he's the
watch
other
out.
big.
I know he's a redshirt freshman, like wing.
Okay.
Really athletic, made a few threes. Definitely someone to look out for. But yeah,
Yeah,
Lawyer
they've looked
Smith
awesome.
played really good. Colvin has shown flashes. Hasn't seen a ton of minutes yet, though. We'll see if that changes.
They've looked
Yeah,
way better than their rival, Indiana. Oh my goodness. Like
yeah,
Indiana's guards, man. They played Army today and they were in a heater with Army all game. Army's Ken Palm, it's like 330. We had them towards
yeah.
the bottom of the Patriot League.
Hmm.
They did look pretty good today, but I think it was more of Indiana, just their guards just being anemic all game. Clell Ware
Hmm.
looked good. He was out there by
Yeah.
himself. Like
I mean,
if if
I feel
if
like think
Clell
about what
Ware
we
didn't play,
said.
they lose by 20.
We said about Indiana before a season is like I don't know how the team is going to be, but like Clell Ware's the X factor. Well, Clell Ware played really good today, and they still kind of sucked.
Right. I mean, Xavier Johnson has looked awful.
He was good today.
The turnovers, man. The turnovers. I don't think he was very good today. I don't know.
I thought he had a good.
I
Um,
don't think so. I was watching most
yeah, I
of
mean
it.
he had like 19 and
He had 19. Oh,
yeah,
he
only
had a lot
only
of
two
free throws.
turnovers. Yeah, I mean yeah, 9 for 9, so can't
Yeah,
really
they were definitely hitting a
use
lot of free
them.
throws towards the end of the game. I will say that Renault and Ware have looked pretty good. But no, it's the guard play, which I was harping on.
Yeah,
Is just not
McBacco
good.
hasn't done anything either. Like I
Yeah,
haven't
I
even
haven't heard
noticed
it.
him.
Yeah, right. Same.
Like I
I'm like,
haven't
is he
even
even
really noticed
playing?
him playing.
Him
Yeah,
being a non-factor hurts. Like,
he's yeah. Gabe Cubs has looked kind of good in his
yeah, he
what limited
has.
minutes he's gotten. Hasn't shown a
Defensively, he's
ton,
been
but
impressive. I think he really moves his feet well. I'm surprised how well he's translating on the defensive end so far.
yeah. I mean,
Not great opponents, but
yeah.
and obviously you're going to see, much more athleticism when you get in the Big Ten play, a lot more strength. So we're going to see how he translates then, when things really heat up. But I'm at least good to see he's not completely over his shoulders on the defensive end.
Yes. But yeah, they're gonna need to get something fixed
Yeah, they need help
because
in that backcourt.
it's looking rough. Um, yeah, they need. I mean, I don't know what they need to do better. I mean, McBaco needs to be better. Maybe
McBaco
Trey
needs to be
Galloway,
a
do you like more
factor.
from him? I guess.
Yeah.
they just might not be that good. I think
No,
that's the issue.
I'm not sure they're a tournament team. I'm
I
really
don't think they
not
are.
sure.
No, I don't think they are. They played two okay, but I mean, FGCU is okay. Army is not a good
Not
mid-major,
good.
and they snuck away with both wins. They were like down
Isaiah
top of the league.
Thompson got hurt in that first game too. So
Yes, he didn't play at all.
oh, that's right. I thought I noticed him, but
No, but yeah, FAU they had a very strong opener versus Loyola Chicago in the Barstool Classic. Pretty solid opener. I mean, can't really
didn't
ask for.
watch, but no, they looked really
You weren't
good.
watching the Barstool stream
Oh,
with like
no.
Dave Portnoy calling the game.
Oh, gosh, that must have been such a cringe fest. I do like Portnoy though. It's a lot of some of the other characters. Yeah. I watched the Mississippi State Arizona State game, even though that was probably a worse game.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. FAU though, they
they look
Golden had a
good.
big game.
Did he?
Vlad Golden, big game, like 19 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, 4 steals. Really dominant inside. Elijah Mara didn't do much. Obviously, a little
He came off
hobbled
the
back from his.
bench. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was good
Really
that
just a
he toughed it
solid,
out and
solid
played
team
though.
game for FAU, which is really how they were so successful last year. Janelle Davis had a fine game. Weatherspoon came up big. Nick Boyd had a pretty solid outing, and yeah, overall, it's a
Yeah,
pretty
I think it
solid
was more of a
game.
stinker by Loyola than it was an amazing game by FAU. Loyola, from what I've heard, did
Yeah, I
not
mean,
look
you can
good that
also chalk
game.
it up to FAU's defense was pretty good.
That's
I mean,
true.
obviously, Golden especially was elite
Yeah, they do
defensively,
have some
but
good defenders, but
yeah, it wasn't terrible though.
they
I
just got to
think,
find their footing on offense a little bit, for sure.
yeah, I didn't really have. I mean, like Philip Austin was the only guy in double digits for them,
Yeah,
so
it's not good.
definitely trying to find some other production. But yeah, Loyola's still a team I'm not selling my stock in yet.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, going back to that Mississippi State Arizona State game, Arizona State was terrible, like we had suggested, but Mississippi State, their offense like looked kind of good.
Oh, we hyped Trey Ford up, man. Man, did he look good. He looks really promising. I can see when Tolu comes back, when Mississippi Shaquille Moore comes back, this Mississippi State team can be second in the SEC. Like they look so good. They have so many scoring options. At least more than last year. Night and day from last year for sure. You know what you're getting in that defense. They're going to be really good. Really hoping we get to see them at full strength. At some point by
Yeah,
conference play. So really
yeah.
excited for them.
Josh Hubbard too could be pretty
Josh
big. I mean, he
Hubbard,
had
yeah. He's
22
a good
points against
scorer.
UT Martin, 5 threes that game, and a few threes versus Arizona State. Trey
Mississippi
Ford,
State has not shot the
yeah,
three well in a while. This team,
they shot it
maybe they're a little
very
different.
badly last year. In
Oh,
fact,
they were awful.
but already off to a pretty decent start, even without Tolu, as we mentioned. Yeah, Trey Ford has really been the X factor.
Mm,
Was huge in that game versus Arizona State. He
was
had over
like
20 points,
19.
made five
More.
threes, 21. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good overall. I mean, him and Hubbard are really going to be a source of offense. Andrew Taylor didn't do much in that game, but he is also a source of offense that could develop over the year. But very solid start for Mississippi State. St. Mary's, they beat New Mexico. I mean, obviously I lost to Weber State tonight, but
Crazy.
yeah, I mean, Mahaney had a big game versus New Mexico. He
Yeah,
was
no, Mahaney was
really
tremendous in
firing.
that game. He did not do well tonight though. He's like 4-13, which is interesting.
Oh,
Weber State seemed to just completely shut down everything St. Mary's wanted to do in the second half, which is really impressive. I have to give them a ton of credit defensively. And Dylan Jones had like 30. So
yeah, I mean that's how you beat them.
he's just unbelievable.
He's amazing.
So to do that against St. Mary's
But
defense
yeah,
is
they,
no
they
easy
look good
feat.
against New Mexico. New Mexico, notably without Jalen House, that game would have been very at least differently played if House had been
Yeah,
there.
there's some negatives about what I saw from New Mexico for sure. We'll get into that, but Yeah, they were not the same team without House last year. They looked really bad when
Yeah,
House
Matt
wasn't in
Mashburn
there.
really struggled. Dent played really good, but that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, Mashburn, when he's out there trying to be the number one guy, it can be tough for
He's
him.
a pretty limited player when he isn't scoring, so he was out there doing like
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. Right.
Um,
Um, he was a real negative. And I will say the bench has to be better. Jamarl Baker Jr. looked absolutely awful.
yeah,
True
he was
Washington
weird.
looked bad.
Yeah, he's not going to be that good in offense.
No.
He's more of a, he was good in defense.
Jaden Toppin looked impressive. I really
Yeah,
do like what I see out of him. Really active on the glass, around the rim. So he's been good. Mishila didn't really do
he
much.
was hurt though, so
Was he? I thought he was
yeah.
out there.
No, he was out there, but he's
Okay.
been hurt.
Oh, he's playing her. Okay.
So
And
he's
yeah,
like
no, what I've seen
kind of
from
coming back to full
Amzil has been
strength.
disappointing too. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's just,
not gonna overreact after one
yeah,
game though,
no,
but
exactly.
definitely want to see them play a strong opponent with House. I
Right.
think the result will be much differently. Yeah, Texas A&M knocked off Ohio State. Did not watch this game because it is on
Yeah,
Peacock. I do not
Peacock.
have Peacock,
I wanted
but
to watch it, but
um,
it looked pretty good. Ohio State looked pretty good, I heard.
but
So
yeah,
just a
the
really
the
good
big
basketball game.
big thing here is that Texas A&M is looking good in non-conference play, which
I
did
know.
not happen last year.
No. We'll see if that can continue. But
Yes.
yeah, no, they've looked as advertised. I'll give them that.
Hmm.
Not a team I'm insanely high on, but we'll see. I mean, they're
So
playing
it's
well right
big
now.
win, big win.
Definitely.
Virginia, they knocked off Florida in a neutral site game in Charlotte. Yeah, very solid game for Virginia. Definitely really solid game for Blake Buchanan, especially at a
He looked good.
big game. Looks like he's probably going to be starting center for Virginia moving forward. Yeah. Reese Beekman played well. Honestly, pretty solid game for Virginia as a team. Definitely overachieved my expectations.
Yeah,
Florida
same.
played decent too, but
Mm-hmm. No, they played really well. I mean, it's Tony Bennett for you. They're not going to go down easy. Florida came back at the end too, and they held on. They showed composure. Um,
yeah, Kugel struggled from the field, but
mm,
still very solid game. All of Florida starters in double digits. Didn't get much off their bench, but
Even in that game, I saw a lot that I liked from Florida. I think the defense
yeah,
is a little spotty at times, but Virginia runs such good plays and things. They're going to get their looks. Yeah, especially when they're executing well. When Virginia is executing their playbook well, they're very hard to stop. So
yes, definitely excited to see Poland back and they'll
yeah,
have some pop off the bench.
for sure. Richard's been
Um,
really good though, man.
yes, very shot the ball very well in that game.
Mm,
Nichols knocked off LSU. Got a late three for the win, and LSU might be pretty bad without Jalen Cook.
yeah.
That's really all I have to say.
Bull Bakers look great, but
He looked great in their first game. Did not
yeah, I'm
look
about to
great in
say
their
I didn't
second
know I
game.
didn't watch the Nichols game.
Yeah, I watched like last 10 seconds and I saw a game-winning shot. So
Yeah, no, Nichols has looked good in their two games, I think. They played someone else
yeah,
close too.
yeah, Tulane. It's like 10 point game.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been scoring it, and we had their questions if their style would be the same run and gun, and it has been. They've been running and they've been putting up a lot of points. So it's good to see that. They're always a fun
Yep.
team to watch.
Tennessee, they knocked off Wisconsin on the road. Very big game. We already kind of talked about how Dalton Connect had big game there. Ziegler has been playing, which is surprising considering he shouldn't
Yeah,
even be back by now in a reasonable ACL timetable recovery.
right.
So yeah, big game for Tennessee. We're a good Wisconsin team that blew out Arkansas State in opening night. Really showed some offensive flashes there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't
Tennessee
even
is
play that
really
bad
good.
offensively against Tennessee. Like putting up
No,
70 points against Tennessee is not bad, especially for Wisconsin standards. It's actually quite good. So I like what I see out of both teams this year. Honestly, I'm decently high on Wisconsin. I was preseason. And I think the fit is starting to. I will say Connor Seaton's not playing enough. He like
he might be someone that's also coming back from injury.
really.
I believe. I'm pretty sure he's like kind of on
Yeah,
his way
because he
back.
could have helped them definitely win that game if he plays more. He took
Um,
like a couple shots. He put like 13 minutes or something. I saw, which is
yeah,
weird. But if he's hurt, then that explains it. But no,
AJ
Wisconsin, I've
Score
liked
has
what I've
been
seen.
been
Store's been
decent.
solid.
Hasn't been shooting amazingly, but has been putting up points. It's kind of what you want to
I
see.
actually like to just see the big volume there, that they're respecting that he should be the
Hmm.
number one option.
Yes.
I think the efficiency will come as he really gets used to being the day in, day out number one guy.
Yes. Yeah, Tennessee played very well as well. Connect, big offensive performance. Josiah Jordan James, solid game as well. Vescovy didn't do that much, obviously. He's still coming back from not being with the team for a little bit. Gainey has continued to shoot the ball well off the bench.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Look good.
Memphis knocked off Mizzou on the road. Big win for Memphis. Was without Penny Hardaway this game, but
I'm glad I didn't
um,
watch that game. I usually would. I do support Mizzou. They look great
yeah.
in the first half,
Did you
apparently.
did you I don't know if you've seen this, but apparently Caleb Grill is a man bun now.
Yes, he does. I did see that much.
That's some I wasn't even watching the game and someone said that and I'm like, I have to tune in and see this.
Yeah,
It
it's
was a sight to see.
I do not like the look. But yeah, no, Mizzou looked good in the first half. They were up as much as 10, and then they get
Yeah.
outscored in the second half by like
Um
30. It's things
yeah.
fall apart. I'll be honest, and I was saying this the other day, like the rotations have been really weird. I don't know what's
Also no
going on there.
Vanover yet.
Tanjay hasn't been playing. I don't know if he's hurt.
Yeah,
He had 2
he's
points. He played like a couple minutes off
he
the
didn't play
bench.
their first game either, so I'm guessing I think he's hurt.
Yeah, he
I
did
hope he's
play
hurt.
briefly in the Memphis game, and then
Yeah.
Tamar Bates, after how good he was in the first game, comes off the bench and doesn't really get any minutes.
Yeah.
Jesus Carrolero's playing too much. I
I mean,
know
that's more
Memphis is a
because
big team.
Vanover can't play for
That's
another
true.
game.
Yeah. I would try Carter out at the 5, but I mean, then again, he can't defend.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Mizzou, like besides Vanover, he's the only big that plays defense. They're gonna really struggle on defense. At the big position, Shaw's more of like a 4, and he's really undersized. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, Memphis looked really good in that second half, though.
Really
I
good
must
game
say,
for JQ.
JQ looked good.
Walton also had a big game, a decent game in his
How'd
he had a
Brown
really
look?
big opening night. He came off the bench.
Huh.
He's been coming off the bench.
Okay.
But he still scored double figures both games. Not
I think they
super
just like
concerning.
Dandridge because he's familiar with the system. I
Yeah.
think
They
it's
also have
Jordan
been
Brown.
starting Jourdain too.
Okay. I like
And
that.
bringing Mills off the bench as
I
well.
do
Which
like the
I'm not a
double
big
big
Mills guy,
lineup.
so
I do like the double big lineup. I just think it should be Jordan Brown, but that's just me.
yeah, I agree. Brown ended up playing more minutes than both of those
Exactly.
guys, so
He'll be a bench
Mills
spark
also played
plug.
like 33 minutes off the bench, so
This could be
um,
Penny's most intriguing team for sure. We'll see
it
how
is
they look.
intriguing.
We'll
Maybe
see how
not
they
more
look.
intriguing a team that had Jalen Durden and Monty
That's
Bates.
true. That
They were
team
at
was
least
very
intriguing, even
intriguing.
though they were up and down. They were really good at finish season, but
They were.
last game that we're going to talk about, or last set of games, is the Asheville Championship. Clemson defeated UBAB and Davidson to win the Asheville Championship. Concluded today. Didn't get to
Interesting
watch these
tournament.
games, but
Yeah, I didn't really watch
good
them
sign
either.
for Clemson at least. I thought they were going to lose like both these games, and they ended up coming out on top. Good set of games there. UAB obviously defeated Maryland today. Big win for them. Davidson looked good. So really, except for Maryland, all these teams had productive weekends.
Yeah, I didn't really think Clemson even played all that bad either. They showed great resilience against
Yeah.
Davidson. Those are games.
Definitely avoiding those bad losses early. Something they did not do last year.
Exact. I was about to touch on that. That's something that kept them out of the field last year. So it's good to be escaping these games, and just surviving and prevailing. Honestly, there's some times where you're just gonna have a bad day, and you just got to escape. Good teams escape with wins, even when they're not playing their best.
Yes.
UAB got a big bounce back. I felt good about them bouncing back against a really
Mhm.
scuffling Maryland team. The way UAB lost against Bradley was really tough, but
Yeah, and then they
um,
lost against Clemson too in a game they could have easily
that's
won.
right. Yeah. That's the thing. Closing games without Jelly Walker is going to be a little different. Eric Gaines is good, but he certainly isn't the shooter that Jelly is.
Yeah.
So as far as closing games, that's going to take some reps for them to be good at the end of games. So
Yes. Yeah, so that was all the games that we're talking about from last week. We move into a few game game picks for the upcoming week. I picked out just 4 games.
let me see. Let's see how Nevada Washington's going.
So that game started, yeah.
It started at 10, I believe. Yeah, so that's a game I'm interested to see.
Yes. Let's check the score.
Nevada's up
Nevada's
4. Okay,
yeah, winning by 4. In other news, Montana's up on UC Davis by 11. Not that I
it's a good
really
win for
care, but
Montana. I do. There's for 2 mid majors I actually was pretty high on.
that's true. Still a few minutes left in the
Yeah,
game.
Montana's really under. I remember we did the Big Sky in the beginning. I really liked what they had.
Yeah.
They look good.
Deshaun Thomas has 23.
Hmm.
Yeah. Solid game
Pepper's
from
doing
him.
Pepper things,
Yeah,
but
Pepper has over 20.
Ty
But yeah,
Johnson's not really doing much. Okay. Yeah,
he's up and down a little bit more. But yeah, moving to our game previews picks. First one is Michigan at St. John's. Who do you have in that matchup?
I have Michigan. I'm gonna go with Michigan here. I am really liking what I'm seeing out of
You're good.
Michigan.
We were wrong on Michigan.
Well, you know who's
They're,
at the helm right now. Mr.
but
Martelli.
even still, like Conway's really
Yeah,
good.
Olivier, man. He's can be the number one guy. And I've seen him flashes of him doing it. I knew he could do it, but on a night-to-night basis, can we see it? And I will have to say, I think a lot of it is the sets they're running for Olivier. They're getting him really high percentage looks around the rim. He's coming off rub screens, he's coming off down screens, really good plays. McDaniel's looking great.
He's
Um,
yeah.
no, Michigan's
Terrence Williams is shooting the
Michigan,
ball good.
right. They beat two pretty good mid majors too. Like Youngstown's not bad, Asheville's not bad. They ran both of them out of the gym. They hung like 100 on both of them, which is impressive.
Their
I don't
offense
care.
is good.
Yeah. I think tomorrow St. John's isn't fully healthy really yet. It is at the Garden, so it is a St. John's home game, really. But I think Michigan's gonna come out guns a-blazing and win this one.
I agree with that. I really like what I've seen from Michigan so far. Still going to be a very good game. Definitely could
Of
see this going either
course.
way, but I'm sticking with Michigan. Next game, Kansas versus Kentucky. I'm going to have to pick Kansas in this one. Don't know what we're really getting out of Kentucky
No.
yet. Also, don't especially know what we're getting out of Kansas, but at least their talent is proven. Definitely
We
some
can pick
question
some more
marks.
games tomorrow too. We got some time.
Yeah, you can look through
I'll
it.
add some.
Who do
Add
you have
some
in that
more.
one now? You have
I got Kansas.
yeah.
Yeah, I got to see what Kentucky looks like in
Yeah.
a big game to trust them.
Yeah, we can finish out these 4 and then look to see what else
Yeah,
we have. Marquette,
gotcha.
Illinois.
I'm gonna go with Illinois here. I
Okay,
think
I'll go with Marquette then.
Illinois is really tough at home if they're playing at home. I don't know if this is a neutral site game.
It's at Illinois.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Illinois here. They just like last year, they do start seasons off well. They do have the talent. I think Marquette's gonna really struggle defensively. There's just a lot of good scorers on Illinois. Shannon, guys like Domask. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really fun, fast-paced game. I will say that. Should be two really good offenses putting up a lot of points. So, should be a good game, but I'm leaning with the Illini here.
Yeah, well, I'll go with Marquette just because I was undecided on this one, and you went with
Okay,
Illinois. So
that's cool.
I will go with um Marquette. Still a very solid team in their own right. Very solid guard play. Definitely gonna be a good game. Very high level of basketball. And in the last game, Duke versus Michigan State. I am picking Duke to bounce back from their loss, and beat Michigan State in the Champions Classic.
I am as
Should
well.
be, yeah. I think they're
Definitely on Duke. I think they're the better team, for sure.
both teams lost games, but definitely less concerned about Duke. Think they should still be a very solid team, but yeah, we can kind of look ahead into the
Yeah, so I got some
um.
games here. Do not overlook Villanova Penn. Villanova lost at Penn last year. Penn is interesting. They have this really good freshman. What's his
Didn't
name?
Villanova beat Penn last year?
Maybe it was two. I don't think they did. I thought we
It was a
Uh,
while ago and I lost
they
to
played
Penn.
2 years ago and lost to them. They did lose them kind of recently.
It
At least I
was a
thought
long
so.
time ago. Or not a long
Hmm.
time ago. It was like
Tyler, I will say
2019.
Tyler Perkins has looked really good for Penn. Freshman,
Yeah,
6'4".
I'm
I
not
don't
really
know.
concerned about that game, though, honestly. Like
In the
it could.
Palestra,
Hmm.
with Slackers look good. No, you just Penn was pretty competitive with St. Joe's.
Definitely still taking Villanova though.
Yeah, it's just you never know with
It could be
Neptune.
interesting, but I heavily lean towards Villanova
Okay,
still.
yeah, no, I'll pick Villanova there, but definitely game to
Um,
watch. Siena versus American. I actually like American here to get the first win of the
okay, let's
season. We can just quickly run
we
through
can we
them.
can we can come up with some better games to talk about. Both those
Kind of
teams
looking through
are
this
above 300
slate.
in Ken Palm. Um,
Uh,
we have some good games on Tuesday. Though. We have
ETSU and Butler are sneaky. Butler's favored by 15.5, which is a lot. ETSU is pretty talented. I think it'll be kind of close.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that line's kind of crazy. UMass
Okay,
and Quinnipiac's pretty solid.
let's look at Tuesday games. We have Wisconsin at
Right on.
Providence. I think I. It's
You
tough.
know, let's Western Carolina, Middle Tennessee is a good game. Who you got in that?
Let's see. When did they
They
play?
play Monday. SIUE and Mizzou is gonna be a good game too, low key.
Do they play Monday? Oh yeah, they do. I think I would go with Western Carolina now that
Yeah.
Weston's not playing.
Yeah, Western Carolina's looked really good. They look really good against Notre Dame. Woolbright's looked awesome. Yeah, no, obviously I bought a lot of stock in them preseason, so I'm gonna rock with them here. SIUE, Mizzou could be interesting. South Dakota State, Kansas State, really interesting. Especially the way K
Maybe.
State's looked. Um, yeah, no, some intriguing games. Old Dominion, Arkansas, that could be cool. Let's see Tuesday. Wisconsin Providence is good.
Yeah.
Um,
Who would you have in that one?
I'm gonna go with Wisconsin on the road to get it done. I'm not really all the way there with Providence yet. They did look pretty good against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a good mid-major, so that was gonna be a good game. BJ Freeman played. Um, yeah, but I'm gonna take Wisconsin here. I definitely
I'll
am
go with
trusting with
Providence.
them. Okay,
Just
they're
to have
great at
something
home.
different. Yeah.
They're great at home.
Iowa Creighton should be a Creighton win, but very good offensive battle there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Anything
Texas
else on
A&M
Tuesday?
SMU could be
Colgate,
intriguing.
Syracuse again.
Will Syracuse win? Will Syracuse snap the streak? I don't know.
Toledo Wright State's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um, I'm gonna go with Wright State at home. I think they're gonna pull
I
that
think
one
I'd
out.
agree with that. Let's
Anything
see. Do we have any?
else Tuesday?
No, not really.
SMU at home against
Yeah,
A&M.
that one is
Sneaky.
intriguing to me as well.
I think I'm gonna go with SMU. I like
I still go
SMU.
with A&M, but it's intriguing.
Potential trap game. Potential some trap game. Oh, boy, UNCG Vanderbilt. Oh, that's another loss.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Wednesday though, Princeton Duquesne. Who would you have in that one?
that is a good
I think
game,
I'd go with
man.
Duquesne at home.
I'm gonna go with Duquesne
Princeton's
at
gonna be
home,
good.
but
That's a
that's
good
gonna be a
game.
good game, man. Great offenses. I'm
Um,
gonna make sure I'm watching that.
Cornell, George Mason. That's an
Cornell's been
decent,
good. I'll go George
decent
Mason
game.
though.
Radford at VCU.
I go
Probably
Radford.
I'd go with VCU. It's a solid game though. Not a
Canisius Cleveland
ton.
State.
No, not a ton on
Coppin
Wednesday.
State, Louisville. Oh,
I will not be watching that. Thursday, Utah Wake Forest. There's a ton of solid games, but not a ton of great games. Those games in the Charleston Classic, I believe it is.
let me see. Dayton, LSU. I'll go
Yeah.
with Dayton.
Yeah, I'd go with Dane as well.
St. Louis,
Mizzou.
Wyoming. Going Wyoming there.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
St. John's, North Texas is an
UMass Lowell at
interesting one.
Arizona State. That could be really. I think I'd go with UMass Lowell.
UMass Lowell's winning that, man.
Yeah, I agree. Charleston,
Thursday is a good
Vermont.
slate of games, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, St. John's, North Texas is going to be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with St. John's though.
Furman Liberty is intriguing.
I'll go Furman there. Yeah. Wichita State Coastal. I'll go Wichita
I
there.
don't care to watch that game. Wright State, Indiana, that could be intriguing.
I'm gonna go Wright State. Yeah.
That's
Anything
about it.
else?
No, let's see. Friday, we have San Diego State, St. Mary's. I think I'd go with St. Mary's there.
Yeah. Bounce back too.
Bouncing back. K-State, Providence. I think I'd go with K-State. It's in the Bahamas, so neutral site. Could be intriguing.
I'm gonna lean with Providence there. I gotta see what K-State looks like by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Xavier, Washington. I don't know. I'll have to see Xavier play first.
Is it at Washington?
It's in Las Vegas.
Okay. So. I'm gonna go with UW. Man, I'm gonna go with UW there.
Miami and Georgia. Probably go with Miami there.
Yeah, I'm Miami.
Maryland, Villanova. Villanova.
Yeah, I can't really ride Maryland right now.
San Francisco, Grand Canyon. I'd go with GCU.
I'm gonna have to go Grand Canyon on that one.
Yeah. Florida State, Florida. Definitely going with Florida at home in that matchup.
Yeah.
Butler, Michigan State. Michigan State, but Butler's blowing out to bad teams, which is
it's good. It's good to see.
Which is at least somewhat
more than some other teams can say.
Anything on Saturday? No, there's nothing on Saturday.
Oral Roberts A&M.
It's not gonna be a good game. Oral Roberts isn't good enough. But A&M does like lose to.
Let me look. Oh, they lost to UT Arlington, and Oral Roberts barely beat a D2. Oh gosh, what did I miss?
Yeah. Jeez. Saturday though, the best game of the day is Mississippi State, Washington State. Weber State, Colgate could be intriguing. Although I don't know if they play. Ken Palmez is messed up because he also has Colgate playing Gardner Webb. There's some mixed up with the dates there. I remember looking at that earlier. We can stop it there, but
okay. Yep.
Good slate of games this week. Ish. There's at least
Rhode Island, Northwestern.
Where's that game at?
Saturday.
It's neutral.
2:30. I'd go Rhode Island there. I'm dead serious too. I'm just not big on Northwestern.
I like Rhode Island as well. They are very athletic. Played good in 2 games so far.
Wow, McNeese and West Carolina. Oh, that's a fun. That's a fun one.
It's a fun one.
FAU and Bryant. Oh man.
I think I'd probably go with Western Carolina since it's at home, but
I
don't know. It's
Saturday slate's kind of disappointing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's football.
First 2. Still. Yeah, the really good Saturday slates aren't for a little bit. Yeah. But it's solid slate of games.
Good thing this Saturday I'll be busy. So
yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, I guess that's all for today. Make sure to follow our social media account at Hoopscoop Media, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. Would also appreciate a 5-star review on any podcast platforms if that's where you are choosing to listen to this podcast. We will be back next week. I guess we don't have any outline topics now. We just talk at this point about college basketball. So yeah, we'll be back next week with wherever the week takes us. So make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications to stay tuned, and follow our social media account, putting out more content there during the week. So yeah, we will see you next week.